When emergency services in Lincolnshire in the UK received a call from a hysterical woman describing intruders having invaded a home business, units were immediately dispatched. During the call, it seems there is a fire within a woodworking business, which obviously means a very healthy source of flammable materials. So firefighters were obviously also sent to this rural workplace. Horrifyingly, the woman's partner is trapped inside the workshop, and she shows signs of having been singed by flames with soot on her face. It's a desperate scene, and the woman is in a full-on panic. She describes two intruders who attacked the couple and set a fire that she narrowly managed to escape from. By the time the fire, which was contained near to a storeroom, was under control, the man was found within that storeroom. He was beyond help and could not be revived. Police were immediately on high alert, wondering if there was a gang of arsonists targeting businesses in the Lincolnshire area. This is the tragic death of David Twigg, and this is Murder of Crows. On the east coast of England, there is a town that is a popular tourist destination called Skegness. Having lived in the East Midlands for many years, it was colloquially known up that way as Skeg Vegas, on account of its excessive touristiness. It is a pleasant, normal seaside town with lots to do. But we're not going there today. Rather, we're going a few miles away to a teeny tiny place called Burley Marsh. This is where I get really childish now, so be warned. There is a mound in the town that seemingly originated as a Saxon burial ground and was later apparently used as a site for cockfighting. So it's now known as Cock Hill. Sounds like an ideal place to find cockwombles, am I right? The town is noted for its historical windmills and not much else. In 1997, Julie Dixon was 29, and had received a financial settlement after her divorce was finalised. She had been in a relationship with David Twigg, who was 32 and was a joiner, for a year by this time, and the couple longed to develop a business that they could run together. And with this in mind, she used her money to buy some land in Burley Marsh, and this land was previously associated with the railways and had a former railway shed or storage depot type arrangement within it. The couple made a home on the land, and the railway shed was converted into a workshop for a bespoke joinery business that they could run as a team. David would run the practical side of the woodworking and joinery, while Julie would be the public face of the company and manage the administration and the finances. By 2011, things had grown somewhat, and David Twigg had an interest in motorsports. And when he struck up a friendship with a man called John Mikel had gained a reputation within racing circles and was a commentator in Sky TV's coverage of the NASCAR Rally Series a couple of years earlier. And he had founded Mikel Motorsports as a relatively small team, purely for the love of being involved in racing. And through the friendship, David had an opportunity to become a sponsor for the team, which he enthusiastically did, as it would increase the profile of his company that was called Kitchen Bits and Bobs, as well as reinforce his interest in motor racing. And David and Julie even took a trip out to the US to see the team in action. Things seemed to be going really, really well until tragedy struck. March the 13th, 2011 was a day like any other. David was working in the workshop and Julie was in the adjoining office. Then came the sudden attack, the fire, and with her world having turned upside down, Julie frantically called 999.
Just gone up to the workshop to pick some things out.
Yeah.
And somebody came and put us behind.
Yeah.
And they attacked us and set fire to the place.
So the place is actually set fire?
Yeah.
Is it the building that's on fire?
It is, yeah.
It is, okay then.
I got out. I managed to get
Right then.
spare keys.
It's okay. Is everybody out of the building?
No, there's still my partner in.
Right, is he able to get out of the building?
No, because there's fires near the door.
So he's stuck inside, he can't get out because of the fire?
I opened the door, I got my spare keys, I opened the other door, and the flames have come back.
When first responders arrived, Julie was hysterical and was screaming that her partner was still in the workshop where the attackers had set a fire. When asked about David, Julie replied, "He's in the storeroom, I think. I think they've locked him in." Julie went on to describe the intruders, saying they were just dressed in black and had hoodies on, like a mask. Firefighters found a small tin of burning liquid in the workshop entrance. And Julie had singed hair and soot on her face, showing what a narrow escape that she had had. David was not so lucky. Fire crews found him kneeling in a prayer-type position in a storeroom. But he was beyond help and could not be revived. He was in cardiac arrest, but could not be saved. A post-mortem later found that he died as a result of inhalation of smoke and the products of combustion, meaning the poisonous gases that were generated during the fire. Soot was also found in his lungs and stomach, meaning that he was alive and breathing when the fire was burning. Police immediately appealed for help in tracing the intruders. The senior investigating officer was Stuart Gibbon, and he later said that the Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue Service were key in the early stages of the investigation, including the use of a detection dog which recognized that an accelerant had been used in setting the fire. But he went on to describe the challenges that they faced, with him saying, "The disused railway was used by David Twigg as a joinery workshop. It was a real working environment. It was dirty and covered in dust and wood shavings. It was a difficult scene to examine." Through talking to Julie, the intruders were described as both male, with one being around 6 feet tall and the other around 5'7". The crime-fighting charity Crime Stoppers offered a £3,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of whoever was responsible for this cruel attack. But given that nothing had been stolen, and the fact that a pretty isolated business had seemingly been targeted, there didn't seem to be any clear motive. So the police needed to set about doing victimology and finding out all they could about David and also about Julie and about the business itself. The more you learn about how someone lived, the more you can normally learn about how and why they died. And it was through doing this victimology that the picture changed dramatically. Senior Investigating Officer Stuart Gibbon said, One thing that came out of it was that not one person had a bad word to say about David. He was a really nice, decent bloke. He got on well with the community and appeared to have a stable relationship. No one knew what led to the events of that day. But upon looking into the joinery company, despite having recently sponsored a motor racing team, it seems that the company was on its last legs in financial terms. For some time, Julie Dixon had been failing to pay outstanding invoices from business suppliers. So the business developed chronic cash flow problems that it seemed that David was not aware of. David was shocked and surprised when he found out that Julie Dixon had taken out a mortgage on their premises called Station Yard in a bid to alleviate their financial difficulties. He also did not know that Julie had an arrangement with a local garage or gas station where she had mail delivered to, so as to avoid David seeing any potentially embarrassing or damaging letters from creditors. In October of 2010, David was declared bankrupt and owed HM Revenue and Customs more than £17,500. Subsequent letters and emails from a tax official wanting to discuss the bankruptcy were answered by Julie Dixon, who repeatedly lied about him working away and not being available. After a series of letters and emails, the tax officer began to suspect that Julie Dixon had not told David Twigg about these events, but she denied it and said that he was fully aware. A warrant was issued for David's arrest in March, 3 days before the attack on the workshop that resulted in his death. But upon looking into Julie Dixon further, it appeared that she had more to hide than just the financial hole that the company was in. There was evidence that in recent times, Julie Dixon had become dissatisfied with her relationship with David Twigg and had become somewhat depressed. She mentioned to close friends that she was thinking of leaving him and starting afresh. David Twigg does not seem to have realized how unhappy and dissatisfied that his partner was becoming at this time. Funnily enough, the deterioration of their relationship coincided with the onset of their financial difficulties. But other things were also seeming strange to the police. For example, Julie had a mobile phone at the time, but refused to provide a PIN code to Lincolnshire police to access it, claiming that she did not know it. Police officer Stuart Gibbons said, "We thought, surely if you have a phone, you would know how to get into it. It was just something else that seemed really strange." But rather than front up to the financial issues and her apparent unhappiness, her internet search history indicated that she had been thinking of other ways to extricate herself from the mess that she had created. Internet searches on the couple's computer, carried out in December 2010 under the username Julie, looked for the thing that kills you and does not show on a post-mortem, and how can I disguise tablets in food? Yet another one searched for an answer to the query, I've tried to disguise tablets in chocolate syrup, but it still does not work. And to back up this last rather peculiar search, chocolate syrup was ordered online and signed for by Julie Dixon upon its delivery. Then perhaps the final piece of the puzzle for police came when CCTV evidence showed Julie at a local petrol station on the day of the fire buying 22.23 litres, never say I don't give you exact facts, of unleaded petrol in petrol cans. So with all of this information, it seems that Julie Dixon was the only suspect. And she had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to murder her partner of over 15 years. She was charged with his murder on the 7th of June 2011. After this, she changed her story to a joint suicide pact that she had quit her part in at the last moment. But the evidence was stacked in favour of this being a cold, premeditated murder. Julie Dixon and her defence team must have realised that they were fighting a losing battle. As when the trial began at Lincoln Crown Court on the 6th of December 2011, she changed her plea on the second day of the trial. Following the plea change, Dixon would have to appear at the court for what is known as a Newton hearing. And a Newton hearing occurs when the defendant has pleaded guilty to the offence, but on the basis of a different version of facts from that of the prosecution. When this happened in January of 2012, the judge was not swayed by Julie Dixon maintaining that the death was part of a suicide pact. After hearing evidence, Judge Michael Heath said Mr. Twigg did not want to die and jailed Julie Dixon for a minimum term of 23 years. The judge also said, "What you did to him was evil in its conception and execution." Her performance in the 999 call and to the emergency crews at the scene, including to the firefighters and at the hospital, would have been worthy of the highest praise had she been an actress in some fictional drama, and would have warranted an Oscar nomination. I am sure that this was not an assisted suicide. I am sure it was a premeditated killing. David Twigg did not want to die. After the sentencing, the SIO, Detective Chief Inspector Stuart Gibbon, said, "Even now she has failed to admit her full involvement in the death of David Twigg, and we may never know the full circumstances of why she carried out the actions that she did." David was a hard-working, respected member of the community, whose life was cut short in a brutal way. And I hope his family and friends are able to take some comfort from the outcome of the court case. In a statement after Julie Dixon's sentence was announced, David Twigg's parents, Roy and Janice, said, "We have lost our only son, David, at the hands of someone we have loved and treated as a daughter. David was a kind, decent, hard-working man who took great pride in his work and the service he provided to people. We do not want to comment on our thoughts about Julie Dixon, who has finally admitted to murdering our wonderful son, but have to say we are happy to see justice finally done, and will leave her with her own thoughts." So that was the cruel murder of David Twigg at the hands of his own partner, presumably because killing him was easier than admitting the clusterfuck she had made of the business finances. She compounded this cruelty with lies upon lies to try to cover up the crime in the same way that she used a catalogue of lies to try to hide the financial shitstorm that she had created. She deserves every single minute of the 23-year sentence, and hopefully she will serve more than that when the time comes to apply for release. This video is of course dedicated to David Twigg, a man who loved carpentry and motorsports, and who no one had a bad word to say about. He was a genuinely innocent man who was betrayed by the person that he should have been able to trust above all others. A truly tragic case. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. I'm Steve. This orange chunky monkey is Samson, and we will see you when we see you.
Say that you're ready, but you won't like it. You say that